absolutely. So my name is Brandon Kirkpatrick, and I'm running for Oklahoma County Treasurer. I'm running, so actually I'll tell a little bit about myself before I tell why I'm running. So I'm a husband for 20 years. My wife's over there, father of 3. I've got an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And in my professional life, I'm a general manager for an industrial equipment dealership, which is something that I've done for about 18 years now. I cover the state, I cover this region, working with most of our state's largest manufacturers and employers, helping them to hit their budget goals while effectively and efficiently moving product throughout their facility. And the reason why I'm running is because I've been a community activist pretty much for a lot of my life. I am running because through my time with the Justice for Julius Coalition and advocating for Julius and justice reform, spending time at the Capitol, I have realized that those people there are there for power, and that's what they're there for only. And I want to be able to run to bring the people to the county. So to the county budget board and how our county dollars are spent. For the Oklahoma County Treasurer position, it's such an important position because it's one of 9 people that get to vote on how our county dollars get spent. So that's the reason why I'm running, is because I want to bring the people to that budget board and how our dollars get spent.
Awesome. Will you have to leave your other job to go to this one if you do?
I will, yes. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, is that on November 9th that I get to turn in my resignation to where I'm at right now and take on the Oklahoma County Treasurer position.
On my birthday, you're going to resign.
That's exactly right.
What is the treasurer responsible for?
So the treasurer is responsible for collecting taxes, which has become a pretty automated process with how the modernization has really automated that. But the other thing that the treasurer is responsible for, like I mentioned before, is being a vote on the county budget board for how our dollars are being spent, helping to write the county budget, helping to vote on the county budget, and then ensuring that those dollars are being spent as they should.
What role, if any, do you play in minimizing the scandals in Oklahoma?
Oh my goodness. So obviously as an advocate, I feel like I play a big role in that by being able to bring to light scandals that go on in our county government to all the way at the top. Transparency is a big thing for me. So, as we go through that, I would say advocacy, being just an open book and bringing to light anything that I see, whether it be on either side of it.
That was my next question. How do you plan on bringing transparency to the treasurer's office?
So that's another good question. I've got a very big, my background is in data analytics, data visualization. So I think one of the things that I could do on bringing transparency to the treasurer's office is by having some easy tools for us to understand how our budget is about $111 million, where our dollars are going to. You get on there, you read, a 100-page budget on this is going here and this is going here. It's very confusing for people that are outside of understanding that. So being able to have some data visualization tools and just...
So you're saying like a website people could go to? Or?
Absolutely. I'm modernizing our treasurer website right now to be to where it's modern, where we can understand it.
Because the state's computer systems are dinosaurs.
Yes. Yeah. And
it's going to be difficult.
It will be difficult, but there's tools that are available. There's tools that are available out there for data visualization right now, from Microsoft Power BI to Click to Tableau. There's so many visualization tools that you can use out there that integrate with just Microsoft Excel, really. So if you got a data warehouse to pull from that, it wouldn't be too difficult at all to be able to do it. I feel like being in industrial equipment sales, we've used a DOS-based system for about my entire time that I've been there. So if we can get a DOS-based system to be able to store data somewhere where we can report it into a visualization side, through that side of it, I believe that we can do it through.
How long is this term? How long?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
What makes you distinguishable over your opponent?
So what makes me distinguishable over my opponent? One, I'll say that I have some tenacity that I bring. I set my mind to something, and it is hard to get me to pull off of where I'm at. So that and just my compassion for people and for the community. I care about people. That's what drives me as people. So I'd say that those are some big important things going in that. And then my like tenacity not to stop. I really believe that our county dollars are not being used in the right way, and they should be being used to help with mental health and drug rehabilitation and poverty, which, in Oklahoma City, they did a housing study last year. I wish that every city in Oklahoma County did one, but Oklahoma City, being the largest city in Oklahoma County, did a housing study, and 44% of Oklahoma City residents lack access to affordable housing. And that was in August of last year, before we had these inflation issues. So that's a number that's set to grow. I think that's something that...
And being on that board, you can help.
Absolutely, yes. Being on that board, we can definitely help for it. MAPS 4, which the city passed, I think allocated, was it about $400 million for housing. The housing need right now is $1.6 billion.
Wow.
So that still leaves $1.2 billion for a lack of housing. And that's just in Oklahoma City.
Is that like building houses for people, or?
Yeah, so for example, 1 to 2 bedroom homes, the need in Oklahoma City for that is about 19,400. The availability for it is 3,600.
Wow.
It's a huge number to get to. But if we look at 3 to 5 bedroom homes, the need for it is about 7,000, and the availability of it is 21,000. So encouraging development for those 1 to 2 bedroom homes.
For the smaller homes.
For the smaller homes, yeah, in the community.
So when you encourage development, you have people come in and build them, but you don't pay for those houses for the people. You just make sure they're built, or?
Well, I think incentivizing that, coming up with programs, working in the community to come up with programs to incentivize that for sure, and then helping with housing right now. That's another issue. If you go to some of these neighborhoods, we have people that will go out of state to buy a property,
Right.
And out of state people buy this property and rent it back to our citizens here.
Yeah.
If you've ever been a renter, there's not very many safeguards as being a renter. You could be evicted in 30-day notice.
I'm a renter, so I understand.
Yeah, and that's a real issue for me. I think that we should be able to figure out a way through Oklahoma County to prevent people from coming in from out of state being able to buy this property.
It needs to be easier to buy a home too. It's really hard to buy a home.
It should be, yeah, because home ownership will really help invest in the area of people where people live. I mean, if you own that house, then you're committed to the neighborhood. If you're committed to your neighborhood, then you're working on how we can make everything better. Your dollars stay where you live. There's just so much. It's a future investment.
Some questions I have.
You talked about how the treasurer helps make the budget. Who else is, how many other people, who else is involved in that?
So it's all the county elected positions that are involved in that. The county commissioners, the court clerk, the county clerk, the DA, they all come together in that to be able to help to make that.
Are y'all commenting on this TikTok? Is that your comment on the TikTok?
Yes.
Okay. I
know nothing about the treasurer, so all of this has been interesting.
That's such a lack of transparency. I mean, I think that that's probably the biggest question I get is, okay, so tell me what the treasurer does.
Right.
And it's a shame that that's something that's being asked right now. I really do think it's a lack of transparency.
Right.
People don't
my
understand what the
husband's
position
already,
is.
he got rid of them.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
does
They're
the
gone.
treasurer how does that relate to the housing issue? Because I totally agree with all of that, but I don't see how it.
So by being able to form a budget that applies resources to that. So one thing that the treasurer is also over is they're over the property that the county takes possession back of for either non-paid taxes or for non-paid fines. That's one area. So I think there's about 270 to 300 homes that are on that list, on average about a year. That's something that we could use. Those homes get sold off to other people that we don't really. There's a lot of lack of transparency where who's buying that. To me, those people are probably coming in buying those houses for very, very cheap. If you've ever seen how much those houses sell for, it is extremely below market value. They could just turn around and flip those houses and turn a huge profit on it.
Yeah. And then how do you incentivize, encourage the building of the smaller homes, because we live in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's what people are building, and we are in talks right now about townhouses behind our neighborhood, and we don't like that. So how do you get people to buy into the fact that smaller homes are needed and that they are a value?
So I think it comes down to messaging. I really do think it comes down to messaging, and I think that in Oklahoma County, most people here have a lot of empathy to their neighbor, and understanding that their neighbor, that almost half of their neighbors lack access to having that affordable housing. I think that it comes down to messaging and being able to form good messaging around that, and just talking to communities about that. I think that if we were to hold town halls and communities, and to be able to bring the people that live in a community like this, and other people that are wanting to be able to move to a community like this but can't afford that, I think having those discussions is where we start that.
You have a lot of supporters on TikTok.
Right.
I can't wait to vote for him. We love Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Thank you very much. Thank
In a good
you.
way. In a good way.
Yeah, June 28th. Yeah.
Are there any like targets that you have for areas where we're spending too much money unnecessarily?
Right now, I would say that Oklahoma County Jail is a big target for
Yeah,
that,
that
because
was another
40% of our budget in Oklahoma County, so 40% of our county tax dollars go to criminalizing our neighbors, jailing our neighbors most of the time without actually a trial, that they're awaiting trial in
In
there.
a very bad facility.
In a horrible facility. I mean, this facility is terrible
Yeah,
for sure.
I get it.
But they've let it get that
Yeah,
That's
way.
right.
Yeah.
It's 30 years
Yeah.
old. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
It is 30 years old. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's
But
not
they just
very
haven't
old.
kept it clean,
No,
and they haven't.
It's in bad shape, but I don't know.
They said, I heard someone said that the roaches were so bad that the walls moved.
That's horrible. They've got bed bugs in there. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's easier to get drugs in there than it is on the street. I mean, we have people dying of fentanyl overdoses
Yeah.
so often in there. I mean, and that's just such a shame. It really is a shame. So yeah, I mean, I think one of those targets is moving our money from investing in that 40% into criminalizing our neighbors, into helping our neighbors through mental health and drug addiction.
Some of the diversion programs.
Diversion programs, absolutely, yeah. Rehabilitation clinics. You shouldn't have to be arrested to be able to get help. You shouldn't be thrown in county jail. But they do build this new county jail to say, okay, like, oh, you're having a mental health breakdown. Let's take you to jail. Let's put you
Yeah.
into jail, and then let's get you the mental
Yeah.
health that you
Because
need.
jail
That's
is a
right.
great place if you're mentally unhealthy and you
Yeah.
are confined in this small area that's
Yeah.
unhealthy and unclean.
You're there against your will, and you're gonna, get the help that you need. That's not how that works. Not
The
at all.
food is awful.
It's just terrible, very terrible situation.
County jail was planned without a kitchen, by the way. That's why it's inside. And yeah, they weren't built with like hospital facilities as well. Like
It's
nobody thought like, hey, we need a medical facility inside this jail or a place to feed people.
And it's very sad. I mean, I think the number of like people that it's an average like 1,600 people that are in the Oklahoma County Jail. At any given point in time, which was built for 1,200. But at that 1,600, 80% of them are in there because they just can't simply just be able to get out.
right.
So that leaves like that's about 1,300 people that we are housing in there simply
That
because
don't
they
need to
can't.
be in there, yeah.
They don't need to be in there.
Yeah.
And those are mothers and fathers
Yeah.
and parents and people that support families outside of here. And we're just
And
I
they're
mean,
losing their jobs and therefore that
Yeah.
losing jobs, losing houses. I'm like, this is not helpful.
yeah, they're probably, if they're working, they're paying taxes, and then we're throwing them in county jail, and we're losing that money back to the county. Just
We live in a very, conservative state. Like, what are some of the talking points that you would give to a potential like Republican voter that is more moderate, that might be tempted to vote for you?
So I would say, going back on the county jail, I don't think it's very conservative to think that we're going to go spend $260 million on a county jail that we all know is going to cost way more than that. So I think that that's something that we talk about. The interest that we're spending on that county jail is another thing that we talk about as being, that is not something that I think any conservative would want to do, or any person would want to do. But yeah, the simple lack of transparency on how our county dollars get spent is an issue that affects both Republicans and Democrats. So I think that that's something that could be discussed as well. And we could all turn on the news any given day of the week and see what a lack of transparency is going on at a state level all the way down to the county level.
The question that just came up. The jail has cost taxpayers too much. What are you going to do?
Say that one more time.
The jail has cost taxpayers too much. What are you going to do?
Well, right now, I'm going to vote no on the bond proposal on the 28th, and as I would suggest that everybody else do is to vote no on that bond proposal. And if, I'm going to say we hope it doesn't pass. So if it doesn't pass, then once elected, then we're going to form a committee to be able to decide how we approach that situation. I mean, I will tell you, spending the amount of money right now that we do on housing people, that 1,600 people, is ungodly. And if we were to be able to reduce that population, then it would save money.
Isn't there like 40 million from ARPA designated for like mental health facility for the jail?
So yeah, they are trying to use that for that. I know that that they were trying to hijack the jail trust was trying to hijack that 40
Right.
million, and we were able to get 25 million to be able to go back and to help with rental assistance and small business assistance. But there is about 25 million of it that went back into that, and there is some money available for mental health. I think the 154 million that we have coming out from that would be able to be used for that as well too.
Didn't another guy just die this week because they weren't checking on him? He was in the mental health unit.
So today, you say with like overseeing the budget of the county, with the recent death that happened today of the gentleman that hung himself inside the county jail today.
Yeah, that
As
guy.
treasurer, what kind of programs, working with the county would you like to implement, so we don't keep having a death or two every week like we are?
So I can speak to this from a personal level. I lost my mother-in-law about 5 years ago to mental health and addiction. I've got family that suffer from mental health and addiction issues, and I can tell you that when they are going through those situations, the only place that we have to take them is either the city rescue mission, which is going to keep them for a very short amount of time, or they go to jail. And right now, like I've kind of hammered on so much, is we should not be arresting people that are in a mental health crisis and throwing them in a cell by themselves and expecting that we don't have that kind of outcome with what happened today.
So you would recommend taking them to like St. Anthony, the
Yeah.
facility that they have, or like where they can get the medical attention?
crisis
Absolutely,
center.
somebody that knows how to treat
Red Rock.
that, and it's not somebody that's being paid a very low wage to work at the county jail. That's a rotating position. Those people are not
They're
equipped
not
to be
checking
able to
on them
handle it.
either.
Yeah, and they're so short-staffed as well too. Is that you can't expect that with the staffing shortages that they have and with that lack of training that they have, that they would be able to treat somebody that's in a mental health crisis.
Someone said investments into halfway houses help people stay out of jail too. We hardly have any. I have personal experience with halfway house, and they're crap. They're not good. They're not good.
Sober living is a good,
Sober living is better than a halfway house.
Yes, yeah, sober living is good. In some sober living houses, I should say, because sober living usually is a lot of people that are just from the community trying to help other people. So sometimes sober living is really, really good. I've had loved ones that have benefited tremendously from sober living. It's been a lifesaver for them. And then you talk to some of them, they're like, yeah, sober living wasn't the best experience that we had out there, but investing in programs like that as well too.
So I've seen sober living houses that were good. I know there's a bunch of male ones, but I don't know that there's a lot of females.
Yeah, my mother-in-law spent some time at some places where have females in that side of it, and they were not the best. It was almost like a halfway house.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. There were some really good programs.
The
that they
halfway
had.
houses are awful because they mix. The federal one here closed, but they mixed males with females. Some of those males had been down for 40 years for, child SA, and they were there and they'd seen women for the first time, and it was awful.
Yeah,
People were overdosing in the bathroom because they'd been getting like K2 on paper in prison.
Uh-huh.
Well, when they got out, they were getting the real stuff, and they didn't really realize, and then they were like dying.
And it speaks to I think we've got a real shortage of counselors in our state. I mean, that's something that we don't invest in, and we don't have the right people to be able to help in those situations. We have people that care a lot, and that want to get out there and want to help, but they don't have the training needed to be able to do it. I would love to say that, you know, we've lived a life that has had a lot of people from having mental health and drug addiction in our life, but I couldn't treat those people because I haven't been properly trained on how to do that. I could love them and I could try my best, but I lack the knowledge to be able to really help them. And investing in that knowledge is what we have to do.
I don't have anything else.
I don't either. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. BK for OK is my website, so use all the support that we can get there.
One more
really
random
close.
question.
Yeah.
What else can we do to help support Julius Jones?
I love that question. So Julius is a great friend of mine. One of the main reasons why I'm running for county treasurer is because he has instilled in me that any of us can get out there and do change. So what we can do is continue to speak about Julius. We continue to advocate for Julius. He is an innocent person that is still stuck at Joseph Harb Correctional Facility and being housed as an innocent person there. So next month will be 23 years that he's been locked away for. That is way longer than he's been alive. And we just have to continue to talk about it. We have to continue to press the state to be able to release him. We have to continue to put pressure on the governor, to continue to put pressure on the attorney general, the district attorney. The case file still has not been released. So this whole 23 years, the DA has not released that case file. I would say if we could push on the DA to release that case file, let's see what's in there. Let's see the evidence that is not being allowed to be shown to everybody else.
We interviewed Joy Hoffmeister last week, and she said she would be open. She thinks that he should have an opportunity for parole. So,
yeah, and he should be free. I mean, he was, in my opinion, he was kidnapped 23 years ago, and he's being held against his will for the last 23 years.
That was it.
But thank you for that question. I'd love to talk about Julius in this one again. Yeah, so BK for OK. Please go to my website. Help. You know, we need much campaign help as we could possibly get it.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Good job, Burger King.
You know, that was a